Hello, my name is Russ Funk. I am the director of the Justice Center at All People's Congregation, and I am here today to provide you a short overview of the legislative session this year. As you know, the Justice Center deepened our work around the legislative session, working in partnership with the Kentucky Unitarian Universalist Justice Action Network, Kentuckians for the Commonwealth, the ACLU, and other partners to organize locally to respond to the legislative agenda that was happening in Frankfort. CUJAN, our State Justice Action Network, had three primary bills that we were focusing on and then kind of sort of monitoring some of the other ones that were going on. Three bills that we were primarily focused on were voting rights for people with felonies in their past, the Emergence HB 5 or Safer Kentucky Act, and a utility bill. First, a moment about the process. Going to Frankfort is a challenge. One, I hope to encourage you all to come with me next year, and more importantly, to join you with in making connections with your legislators during the off season, during the time from now, mid-April, to October or November. These relationships matter. Having a relationship with your elected official improves our ability to have an impact with them. As you all know, we have greater influence with people who know us and who like us than we do with people to whom we are strangers. For me, it was a challenge to go to Frankfort every week, and primarily with the focus of talking with people who was opposed to most of our agenda, and bring them along, finding that neutral ground that might make them movable. And it was a wonderful opportunity for me to practice in real time the first principle: dignifying people with whom I am in contact with, who disagree with me very strongly on certain political issues and legislative priorities. That I found very joyful. And the opportunity to make connections, not only make connections with and deepen relationships with some of the partners that we work alongside, but also make meaningful or the beginning of meaningful relationships with some of our legislators, even those that I'm opposed to on some of these key issues. In spite of that, I was able to make some relationships that are meaningful, and we can build on going forward. Okay, now to the issues and what happened. With the voting rights bill, this is legislation that we are working with to pass a constitutional amendment in Kentucky to allow people with felonies in their path an automatic pathway to regain their voting rights. In Kentucky, requires a constitutional amendment. It is in the current Constitution the current Constitution in Kentucky states that people with felonies in their past do not get their voting rights back, and a list of other civil rights. So we're working on getting that changed. Our work on the local level is to bring that advocacy effort locally on the ground, working with you all, working with our other congregational partners to advocate with their legislators why we need their support to pass a constitutional amendment. Yet again, unfortunately, this year, that constitutional amendment did not pass. We are working with our statewide partners to double down on a strategy for the 2025 session. I am one of the things I facilitate is the local voting rights coalition. We are going to continue to meet, continue to grow our numbers, and continue to push with the Metro Louisville delegation in Frankfort to make sure we have their support and we have their leadership to try and get this constitutional amendment over the finish line. As you all know, the Safer Kentucky Act was an omnibus anti-crime, anti-criminal bill that included a lot of bad with a couple of maybe good elements to it. It was an 18-piece, it had 18 items in this legislative package, including some of the most egregious things like increasing the three strikes you're outlaw, increasing the death penalty, increasing penalties for other crimes, and certainly the homeless provisions, which both makes it harder for people who are houseless to access services and criminalizes people who are camping on the street. As you all know, the bill passed the House and the Senate. It was vetoed by the governor, and then the legislature overrid the governor's veto. We are continuing to work. I am working with some other local partners around talking with Metro government and talking with the Louisville Metro Police Department around how they can respond to this bill and decrease the prioritizing of the legislation that was passed. Local jurisdictions have the right. Every police department has the right to prioritize which crimes they are going to focus on, and we are going to be working with this local coalition is going to be working with the LMPD and again Metro government on how do we deprioritize some of the criminal crimes that have been written into law now through the Safer Kentucky Act. The utility bill is a package of legislation that would prohibit utility companies from turning off people's power if it's below freezing or above 90 degrees. This year was our year to just kind of float the bill out and get a sense from key members in the legislature, particularly the committees that we expect this bill to land in, to see what their response was. My experience was mostly positive. There are representatives on both sides of the aisle, senators from both sides of the aisle, who are in support of this idea and willing to make this happen. We did get a commitment, and this is a big deal. We did get a commitment from the chair of the Joint Committee, who will have an informational hearing on it sometime this fall. So we're going to continue to be working with this legislative group with preparing for this interim committee hearing, joint interim committee hearing. And I will certainly let you all know and invite you to participate in that as you're able. I encourage you to contact me if any of this strikes an interest in you, if any of this has some passion for you. I encourage you to contact me and let me know, and we'll see if we can engage you in either the Voting Rights Coalition locally, the local work around the Safer Kentucky Act and minimizing the harm, and the work to advance the utility bill. The other main bills that we were kind of sort of following were the bills that were set forth to disallow DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion opportunities in our state. Fortunately, in spite of it being a priority for the state legislature, none of those passed. We can expect those to come back next year, but right now they're dead. Unfortunately, a bill that we were supporting called the Omnibus Bill, which was an omnibus bill to support people who are pregnant and parents of newborns, also did not pass. That had cross-partisan support. We expected that to pass fairly easily, and unfortunately, the wheels came off that bus late in the session. I want to thank you all for your support. Those of you who followed up on my emails and wrote letters or made phone calls to the state legislature, I heard from a bunch of you that you all followed up through with that. I've heard, I don't have concrete data, but I've heard from a number of congregations that I sent information out to that they also were able to put that in their bulletins, put that in their weekly announcements, and were able to generate calls and letters to the state legislature. I thank you all for that support. I thank you all for your opportunity to engage and follow up with that. And I look forward to opportunities for us to double down on our effort and double down on our impact. Again, contact me at the church if you want to be more involved in any of this effort, or if we can engage you or support you in meeting with your legislature during the off season. Thank you so much again for your support, and have a great rest of your day.